Hey guys, Deadbot93 here, back once again, and tonight I'm going to be doing a video response. This is going to be a video response to the 13th Wolfman's top 5 worst ways to die in a horror movie. And when I was thinking about really horrible ways to die, I was thinking of, to me, deaths that last for a very long time, that are very slow and painful, are probably the worst ways to die. Anything that involves a person taking a long time to die is a very horrible way to die, like drowning or being set on fire or things like that. So my number 5 worst way to die in a horror movie would definitely have to be drowning. Drowning has always sort of been a big fear for me, especially, anything that involves losing your breath or being trapped underneath water is a very horrible way to die. And anytime I see somebody like underneath the water and they're trapped, it really makes me claustrophobic, and it really, it's really a scary feeling, knowing that you're trapped underneath water. No one can help you. Every second you're losing breath. That's always been a big fear. So I think drowning would definitely have to be a very horrible way. Or somebody holding your head underneath water or something like that. That is always probably a big fear for, I think, everyone, and I think that would be a truly horrible way to die. My number 4 worst way to die would probably have to be burning. Basically, just having heat like that on your body and burning at your flesh, that is always a horrible way to die. Especially when it takes you a very long time to die. Like I said, the thought of being in that much heat is unbelievable to me. And burning is definitely a horrible way. I see people being set on fire in horror movies all the time, and even though I enjoy it, it's still a very horrible way to die, and it's a big possibility that could happen. Same thing with drowning. Anything that, when you watch a death and you're like, that could happen, and that's an accident or something that could happen to me, that always affects me. So burning is definitely one. Now my third way to die is kind of a weird one, but anything that involves pieces of your body being broken off very slowly, piece by piece. Like, let's say if there was a serial killer torturing somebody and they started pulling off their fingers piece by piece and slowly bleeding to death, that would be a horrible way to die, because not only is it completely, awesomely painful, going through that agonizing pain of having your body part pulled apart, but you can actually see it happening and you're slowly dying, you're slowly bleeding to death. And to me, having different limbs or your fingernails or your toes or anything like that being pulled from your body and doing it very slowly, it's just always a very, weird, probably just a horrible feeling doing that to happen. My number 2 way, I couldn't decide on whether or not that this would be number 2 or number 1, but probably being tortured slowly. I think anything that, involves being trapped under something and being slowly tortured different ways, or being like, anything that involves that is also a very horrible way of dying. Of course, when somebody takes a drill to you and it starts drilling in one part of your body and something like that, and then, it takes you forever to die, that's horrible. Or if somebody just keeps doing something like stabbing you, cutting you, things like that. It's just any death that is very slow and very painful, that's probably, like I said, is a very horrible way to die. My number 1 way, this is probably the weirdest one, but anything that involves somebody messing with your mind. If somebody gets into your head and starts making you think things like you're making it look like you're being demented, and this is kind of weird, but driving somebody to commit suicide is probably one of the worst things that a person can do to somebody else, and that's probably the worst way you could die in a horror film. Like, if you find a way to mess with somebody so bad, like get into their head, make them go insane or whatever, and make them, take their own life, is probably the worst way you can do this. Because, that's when you've gotten into that person's head. You've made them feel you've made them feel completely and utterly useless, that they actually want to take their own life, and taking their own life in any way possible, whether it be hanging themselves or killing themselves. That's always a way. And that's, psychological. That's always, something I think anybody would fear, like somebody get into your head and making you do something you don't want to do, or making you do something that, you know, something like suicide. So I think, in my opinion, that'd be a way. Like I said, you know, either that or being tortured would be horrible ways. But anyway, guys, that's it for my top 5 worst ways to die. And I noticed a lot of people would think, oh, being stabbed to death or being shot, you know, that those are horrible ways. Those are horrible ways to die, but those are ways you see everyone dying in a horror film. Like, you see somebody getting stabbed or see somebody get their throat slashed, you watch and you're like, okay, they're dead. Quick and painless, right? Well, if you see somebody getting stabbed, then of course it's not getting stabbed. If you're stabbed multiple times, or something like that, then yeah, I agree. But those are basically deaths that you see all the time in horror films. You don't normally see somebody you know, get into somebody's mind and making them commit suicide. Or, you know, like I said, slowly torturing people. Anything that takes a very long time for the person to die is, I think, a very, you know, a big fear, and I think, you know, in my opinion, if I could choose my own way of dying, I would prefer to die very quick and painless. You know, just have it happen and it'd be over quickly. And so I think anybody that tortures somebody, or somebody that, you know, makes somebody go through agony, is probably just is just a horrible way of committing, you know, of dying, or somebody forcing somebody to, you know, take their own life and fucking with their head. That's always just a horrible thing. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my video response. I know it's not the best one, but these are pretty much my ideas of, you know, what would be the worst way to kill somebody in a horror movie. And, you know, I will leave the link down below to 13th Wolfman's channel. I will also leave the link down below to Horror Show 3000, because I actually watched his video, and then I watched the 13th Wolfman's video, and that's basically the reason why I got my idea. So thank you, Horror Show 3000, for giving me this idea, and thanks to 13th Wolfman for creating this really awesome idea for a video. I would have never thought to do a video like this until now. So thanks a lot, and yeah, so that's my video. So I'll see you guys next time.